Good morning, everyone and everywhere. Today we are going to see how to buy a domain with MCP and Cursor. If you are a Vive coder and you have just started on web development, or if you have a static landing page, this video is for you. Here I have a single HTML file. It's this. It's just a simple static page for a podcast that we started at work, and I want this to be available. So how do we go from the AI generating this beautiful page in Cursor to a website deployed in the internet that you can run? This is what we will see today. First of all, you need a GitHub repository because we will leverage GitHub Pages to deploy this for free. If you don't have a repository with your file in it, I suggest you pause the video and you do that. GitHub is like a Google Drive for developers, let's say, and it's very easy to set up. Just ask ChatGPT or any LLM will be able to invite you, to indicate how to use it. For example, here I have my repository, Agents at Work. It has my index.html file and some images for the logos. So the first thing that we will have to do is add the MCPs that we will use. And we will use two MCPs. One is going to be an MCP to search for domain names and manage the DNSs. And the other one is the one that will allow us to actually pay for a new domain. So let's start with Sherlock, which is the MCP to buy domains. You only have to use UBX, and this will be handled by you. You should have UB installed in the system, but that's all the dependencies that you have. The other repository that we will need to add to our MCPs is Fewsats. In this case, Fewsats is a bit harder to set up because here you will need an API key. It involves payments, so you will have to have an account and top it up with money or at your credit card so you can be charged automatically. This is quite easy. You just have to create an account here, and here I created a new token. For example, because I do not completely trust my AI, this token cannot spend more than 20 euros without my approval. You will have to copy this token, which I will disable after the demo. Don't lose time trying to hack me. And then add it to the MCP as follows. You have to declare, I want an environment variable with this value, and then you add the MCP server. So again, UBX, and this time is fewsats.mcp. If everything works correctly at this point, you will see this. Both MCP servers showing green. And these are the tools that you have available, like search for a domain name, and here you can see your payment methods or payment for an offer. What we will do is search for a domain using Sherlock, get a purchase offer, and then make Fewsats pay for this offer. So let's see how this goes. Before trying to use these MCPs, make sure that you're using the agent mode, which is the one that has access to the MCPs. So I want to say, I want to buy a domain name for my new podcast. The podcast is called Agents at Work. Can you find names that might be available? Almost. My pronunciation needs to improve. So now what should happen is that the AI will detect that it has some tools to fulfill this, and it will call the tool, which is what we can see here. It called the tool with Agents at Work query. Now it's actually calling the tool with different variations, so it can give you a more accurate record. If you are not sure what your domain name is, you can just even give the HTML and ask for suggestions. So let's see what we have here. Agents at Work. So let's do, I want to buy agentsatwork.tab. I think this one looks good and is cheap enough for them. Agents at Work. So now considering that the price is, I think, under 20 euros, right? I will not have to approve this request, but whenever the agent with this API key needs to pay more than 20 euros, I will have to approve the request, and you can configure this as you like. We see here that it's trying to get the contact information because ICANN, which is the one selling the domains ultimately, always requires contact information. In my case, it's already set up, so I don't have to set it up again. But if this is your first time using it, you will have to provide your contact information. We see that after getting the contact information or setting it, it tries to get the purchase offers. And once done that, it will try to pay using the Fewsats tool. And it will send here the offer it got from Sherlock. We see now that it actually went through. So it registered the new domain, and then it checked the domains tool to list our own domains. And we see that here, Agents at Work is registered. So congratulations, you bought already your first custom domain. So how do we go from this into a deployment and set it up? Let's first go to GitHub. In here, you will have to go into settings and go into pages. So now we go into pages and now we see the options. In deploy, we will say deploy from a branch, which is already selected. And here we will choose which branch. In our case, main. And root, meaning that our HTML, our index HTML is in the root of the folder. We save this. And once this is saved, you can already access this custom domain. You can access this already through GitHub Pages. This will take a short while, but after a while you will be able to access this web page using a custom domain that GitHub gives you. Here you can see the actions, how is it being deployed. So meanwhile, let's add our custom domain. Here, I will add agents@work.dep and save this. Now GitHub requires us to change our DNS so it can detect this, which is the next step. So we can see that DNS check is unsuccessful. This is because we now need to add some records to our domain to point to GitHub. Let's see how to do this. GitHub gives you instructions that I have copied here for convenience, but essentially you will just copy what GitHub tells you, which is create these DNSs and then make the LLM do it for you. I want to deploy these to GitHub Pages. These are the instructions. Make sure there are no DNS entries before adding new ones. This is just in case, because sometimes the provider adds some DNSs to show, like this domain is bought by someone or stuff like that. So it's better to make sure it's clean. So now what we see is the AI agent calling the DNS records. It will check by domain ID and we'll say like, okay, now these are the domains we have there. There are some existing records, so I will, as you ask, delete them. And now that they cleared them, it will add the DNS, the new DNSs, specifically these 4. You see, create DNS with these values. This will allow GitHub to receive the request when someone types agents at work in the internet. Instead of going to us, it will go to GitHub, and GitHub will be able to show your GitHub page. Okay, so now we see that it has finished setting this up, and it even tells us the next step without us even asking. So we want to enforce HTTPS, yes, because this will make our website use SSL, so it will be secure. Let's have a look. Settings, pages, enforce here. And we cannot do it until the DNS has finished. So meanwhile, what we can do is verify this domain, which is also suggested by GitHub. You can go to here. I have another domain, and you add this new domain here, agents@work.dev, and this will give you, once again, new instructions. These instructions, you can just copy these verification steps, and here you can just type, okay, let's verify the domain name. Here are GitHub's instructions. So now we can see that it created DNS and it created this text record. And it confirmed that it was set up correct. So now if we click verify, after there's some propagation, it should work. Again, domains have slower propagation, although nowadays it's quite fast, but it can still take some time. It does not mean that you did it wrong. Okay, I will come back when the DNS has finished. So finally, the DNS has propagated properly, and then you can see here DNS check successful, HTTPS is enabled, same for the verified domain. Now this is verified, and if you go to the website, here you have it. If you use www, it also works. If you want to go one step further, you can actually link your Sherlock account to your email and log in. And this is the DNS records that you will see. I will add all of these in a description, and I will share the post with you so you can follow the steps at your own pace. And that's all for today. Thank you very much.